Okay, I'll try to think of something to say.
Good luck with that, Ed.
I didn't pick up anything.
Do you want to record today, Edgy?
Okay. No. How do I record? Oh, there it is.
Recording in progress.
I'm recording in progress. Okay. Got a mission for you. Tell me what you want to know about that you don't know about, or you think you want to know about and you don't know about. When it comes to spirituality, or what I'm teaching, or what Robert taught, or other teachers, you ask me rather than me try to figure out what to talk to you about, because you guys know everything I'm going to say. Do you have any questions? Okay, bye. Come on, think of a question.
Okay, I've got one for you.
Okay.
If the world is of my making, why is it full of so many bad people? There you go, that'll keep you going for a while.
Say that again.
If the world is of my making, why is it full of so many bad people?
You're a bad person.
I
Any
thought
other
I'd get
questions?
questions out of it. You answered it in a second.
Snappy comeback. Not true, but snappy.
I have a question, Edgy. First of all, I just want to ask Ian, who said that the world is of your making? Okay. Well, you could answer that later. Because Robert Adams says that your body, mind, and the world have nothing to do with you, and they're undergoing their own karma, and you are apart from that. But that's just one take on it. But here's my question. We can look at that again. Edgy, do you personally believe that when a person is, let's say, in beingness, is within the source, do you personally believe that being in that state continuously or mostly continuously has an impact on others around one beyond like normal interactions? Like, is there some kind of energetic thing that goes on when a person's state is that way?
Is what way?
When a person goes from ignorance to, let's say, being awakened, in the awakened state and all that, is there some kind of energetic thing that happens apart from normal interactions with
I would
others?
say so.
You think
I
so?
would say yes.
Okay.
I have no proof. It's my drop thought of the moment. So I'll say very strongly, yes, yes, yes.
So, in other words, it aligns with your experience, with your intuition that is the case. Okay, I've wondered about that a lot, so I'm just curious. Thank you, Edgy. I appreciate it.
In other words, you need me. Pay me.
How much?
Eric, do you have any questions?
Just a general observation and maybe a statement and a question, and maybe you don't agree with the statement, so I'll just say it. But it seems like there's a lot of watered down spirituality now. And there are a lot more teachers available to us, or a lot more people posing as teachers. But the quality of the teaching seems to have been degraded compared to maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago. Or if in Zen, we're talking like 1,000 or 2,000 years ago. So I just thought it was an interesting thing. Like, there seems to be more people that are interested in spirituality, but the quality of, or the depth that people, maybe on a very general, wide spectrum level, seems to be more shallow.
Now, how did you come to that conclusion? What evidence do you have for that?
Just my own observation of the teachers out there, and the mass of
well, there are a lot of crappy
around.
teachers out there, and there are a lot of crappy students. And basically, the crappy students go to the crappy teachers. So what's the problem?
There's no problem.
Okay. Vesselina, do you have a question?
Well, yeah, but I don't know how to put it into a question.
Tell me anyway what the question is.
I don't know. I just feel very miserable.
Why? What's going on?
Well,
if you don't want to say, that's okay too. But then what can I do for you?
pick up your phone.
Because what?
Pick up your phone.
I don't do that.
Yeah.
Is that you have been calling me this morning?
Yeah, I thought you were asleep. And
No.
yeah. And I didn't see you online. I thought you won't come to satsang.
Okay. Which is a reasonable conclusion to draw, since I've fucked up so many coming to satsangs. Like, I don't know how I got to this particular location. Things have changed so many times about where satsang is and the places to go to it and so forth. And I guess I looked on the right one this time. Can you send me the correct one, and I'll post it at the top of my page, and it'll forever remain the same. Nobody dare change it. Okay? I don't change easily because I don't pay attention to my computer or what people are saying to me. I don't understand. I just don't get it. I'm a pretty simple guy now. I've gotten simpler with my age.
Well, people try to call you and help you, but you don't pick up your phone.
Smart ass.
Your Facebook page is boring because there's nothing new on it. Give somebody access to your page and they can look after it for you.
What page is that are you talking about?
Your Facebook page. You
How do
don't
I give
post
somebody
on it.
permission to do something to it?
I'll send you details.
Okay.
But I don't know if you look at it.
Okay.
I'll email it to you. Do you look at your emails anymore?
What?
Do you look at your emails anymore?
Sometimes.
Those can make it a bit difficult.
What?
It does make it a bit difficult to be able to get information to you because, yes.
And not only that, I don't even understand myself. Which makes it all the more difficult.
Well, Eddie's here. What's the problem?
No problem. Hi, Max. Okay, ask a question. A real question. A stumper, as Robert used to say. Ask me a stumper. And a person will ask the question, and he'll answer it, and he said, that wasn't a stumper.
It's Chris. I don't have a stumper. It's not really a question. It's related to what you said when you first came on. You said something like, you all know what I'm going to say. Something like that. And I agree. I do know what you're going to say, but I don't really experience all that all the time. I spend a lot of time in my mind. And I come out and I come here to the satsang to hear your words and feel the presence of you in the group, and I can get really deep. And as I've been saying like the last few weeks maybe, but my majority of my time is in my mind still. And the mind seems to be getting a lot more raucous. And a lot of the strength of my mind, the feel like the things that I had suppressed are really starting to just billow out into my awareness. And it's always your worries and fears. But I just wanted to say that there's a big difference, I feel a big difference between knowing what you're going to say and living and experiencing what you say. And I'm not there. And that's why I come, is to keep hearing this over and over and over. And I know it might be repetitive, but I really appreciate it, and it really does help me to hear it over and over and over, to just keep getting refreshed. And
what do you want to hear?
Whatever you want to say. It doesn't really matter. One day you were reading from the Carl's Jr. menu, and that was cool too. Whatever you got. It doesn't really matter. I don't care.
Okay.
So that's not a question, but there you go.
Okay, I hear it.
Have you ever used CDs? Do you read our minds? Do you have moments in the same? I believe you regarded Robert Adams as not being from this world or even in this world. And I'm wondering, you seem to have experienced probably a Satori as close to his. I know you mentioned Joshu having 17 profound awakenings, and where you are now in Advaita seems like you're on the brink of something even more extraordinary. I don't know whether I have to come through this plane. Everybody has to be born in this shithole, go through it, take the shit with you, try to scrape it off, go dumb as a rock, try to get out the other end. But my concern is that I don't necessarily want to come back, but I don't necessarily want to die without necessarily having some of the experience that you've experienced and that people who have attained allude to. And it seems really hard to grasp. So it's a question and a statement.
So what is the question?
The question is, do you live in the absolute? Do you look at this with the sense of pure subjectivity, no self, no others, the kind of thing that like only God can be objective, that we think that we're vessels that are the architects of anything, and we aren't? In pure awareness, you have no self-awareness. There is only ever the now moment. And in that, you just kick back and go along for the ride. That's all there is. That's all there ever is. If you think you're the architect of anything, you're not. It doesn't mean that there are things in the world to do, that you have mundanity as a manifestation. And in that, people do what they are here to do. But you go into the context of non-volitional living, which is something totally different. I know the words, but I've never experienced it. And the best thing that you tell me is to go dumb as a rock, and that's what I do. But my consternation is unbound.
You know, there comes a point in practice, you've been practicing long and hard, to empty your mind out of all concepts that are out there. Just don't believe them. They don't apply to you. They were made up for somebody else in a different time, different world. Once you let go of the idea that you're going to learn something through logic or speaking any usable text or ideas whatsoever, and regard words as a confuser rather than an enlightener. Don't be so tied to the meaning of things. You can't figure it out. The mind will not help you come to the truth. And the truth is, the mind is almost nothing when you know who you are. And you will find out who you are by watching the mind and watching the rest of you at the same time, so you can find out what's mind and what's not. And just don't touch the what's mind. Remain silent rather than touching what's mind. If you figure it out, drop it. It's not going to help you. It's better to be in a state of wonderment where you don't know anything and you are sort of wondering, how do I chew gum? You're at that level of learning things. So part of this is learning how to function without the mind, because we've been so used to using the mind to figure out everything, including the correct salutation and how to set up a YouTube account or whatever. But eschew the mind. Run away from it as much as possible and determine to see the world and yourself directly without the use of concepts. So if Spencer were to try to see himself without concepts, he wouldn't ask a question like, who am I? Or what do I believe in? Because those are just answered with words. Like what's on page 367 of that book. Somebody will get out the book and read it to you. But my advice is, don't trust the mind. The mind will isolate you from reality by putting all of your energy into concepts rather than direct perception. Now, how do you get to direct perception? You think as little as possible. And when you practice meditation, you just try to be present and aware. And whenever the mind starts taking up your attention, just stop it. Use force, just stop it. And go back to doing nothing and just being there as a empty perceiver with no name, no label, no history. Now, as you practice, the more and more you practice, you'll find out how easy it is to isolate the mind from the rest of you. Once you can isolate the mind inside yourself from that which is not mind, like your own physical presence, you've attained something. You've got something. You can tell the difference from conceptual living to living in the world that you're in, and perceiving yourself the way you are rather than the way you think you're presenting yourself. Thinking is a habit we have to get rid of in spirituality, and instead just be. And there's something that takes place inside of you when you just be, rather than when you're trying to figure out what's going on in the world. When you just be, there is no violence whatsoever. There is no confusion whatsoever. There's no doubts whatsoever. You just go from one certainty to another because that's you in the present. And the other thing is, in spirituality, don't look for understanding. Don't look for meaning. Just look to find out how you are when you're doing nothing. Discover nothingness. Discover nothing. And think about in your everyday life doing nothing. That means don't meditate. Don't try to figure out anything. Don't try to psychoanalyze somebody from their point of view. Just meet them as much as possible where they are. And you can tell pretty quickly how much people are still in concepts and how much they've escaped the concepts. They talk very differently. The ones who were caught in concepts babble on forever. The ones that don't quickly come to a halt, and they have nothing more to say because they see the futility of putting anything out that's intellectually graspable. It's not that Robert attempted to confuse people, so he talked to them in ways that were convoluted, and he had to explain them. It's just that Robert usually talked just in terms of the very simplest concepts of spirituality. Nothing deep, just the simple ones, so as to not confuse people. When you're really there, there's really no need to talk to another person except to tell them to go fuck themselves and get out of your life, or something like that, or I love you, and say it meaningfully so you buy it. The deeper you go inside yourself, the happier you get, and the more silent you get. You don't see any value in sharing information, like about a political party or a spiritual teacher that's talking that you have to listen to. And instead, just shut the fuck up and watch. Feel yourself, feel your own body. And as quiet as you can get, try to watch the mind so you get used to seeing how ephemeral the mind is, because it thinks. And when it thinks, it moves very quickly in all different directions. You go to a classroom where they teach standard academic kinds of things. The amount of talk can be endless because there are concepts, underlying concepts, and whole realms of concepts have to be explained in other realms of smaller concepts, more narrowly defined concepts. But getting in spirituality, you let go of understanding in the mind altogether. You're not interested in understanding things or teaching things even. What you really want to do is be quiet and feel yourself, feel your body, feel your energies, feel your heart, and feel the tension in your body. That's the key, is to get a body so relaxed you can't find any tension in it. And that's about as far as you're able to deal with silence and emptiness in yourself, is to deal with it on that level. But spirituality is not about learning something new. It's about learning something old. You, who you are now, and who you will become when you've decided to forego any further understanding and any further teaching. For example, I used to teach in concepts, but I ran out of concepts. So I realized that my efforts had been misdirected. The only thing that a teaching can tell you to do is shut the fuck up. Don't talk too much. Watch what you say, watch what you think, watch the mind, and learn to settle down in yourself doing nothing. Doing nothing. Being nobody. Not doing anything special, not having any thoughts. And it's possible to really get to that point where concepts don't touch you at all. They don't touch you. You don't believe them. So somebody runs up to you and says, there's this or that, according to such and such. You know where that person is. They're a such and such person. They're not in themselves. You're interested in finding out what other teachers say, how to live and how to be. Eric, that is a very rested cat I see on you. Well, they could say over and over again is peace, peace. Relax your mind. Don't seek with your mind. Seek with your body, your heart. Don't ask questions. Feel. All the time, feel rather than ask questions. And it's by entry into feeling that you make that transition into deep spirituality. because you let go of words, concepts in the mind. And you yourself really can't put any words on who you are because you don't know who you are. The whole concept of knowing who you are is alien to you. You can only be who you are. So when you know that, when something happens in the moment, you react from that person you are in the moment, and not as a person who has to learn something or find something out. Feel the curiosity. The curiosity just goes on and on and on. Just relax. Totally relax. Let go. Feel your body. Feel the tension in your body. And just relax it. Relax. Relax your back, your shoulders, your neck, your head. Just relax. Be nothing. Be stupid as you can be. Doesn't matter. Just be. Be aware. And gradually grow out of awareness of your mind, so that awareness of your mind doesn't really touch you that much. What you're aware of is the nonverbal aspects of being with each other. How they make you feel. Whether you feel happy with them or not. Whether you feel a rush of energy with them or not. Whether you love them desperately and you just want to drop to the ground and worship them. I felt that a lot. That dropping to the ground and worshiping a teacher or a woman. That was my surrender worshiping stage, which I still often fall back on because I like it. That stage of wonderment and of devotion and of not seeking, just surrendering. You don't seek a teacher, you surrender to a teacher. And almost nobody that comes to classes, spiritual classes or meetings, are ready to surrender. Some just want to hear the words over and over again because they have a feeling grasp of what you're saying. And it sounds good and it opens them up in their heart area. So they want to keep coming back and hear these words about getting closer to your body and further away from your mind. Even your body's not real, but it's as real as we're going to experience in this life. And it's a continuous experience. It's not one of taking a photograph one time and then 6 weeks later taking another photograph. There's a progression day by day in one direction or another. There's no days where you really stopped and are rooted in yourself. But you become more and more accustomed to yourself the less and less you talk. The more you just feel. The more you go out for walks for an hour and a half each evening just to be in nature. Not with any particular point of view of worshiping nature or studying nature. It's all about being, not understanding. There's nothing to understand here. That's what Robert was saying. It's for idiots. Given up trying to understand. You should fit in, Mark. 'Cause you should fit in. Mark. 'Cause you should fit in. 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 'Cause you should fit in.
I should fit in? What do you mean?
Yeah, you should.
Okay.
Do you feel
Are you
as if
giving
you
me
fit
a
in?
prescriptive?
Huh?
Are you telling me what to do?
No.
Oh, I see. Was it a positively inclined comment or a negatively inclined comment?
Positive.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. I just need clarification.
You're doing well, Mark.
Thank you.
Just shut up more.
I just want to add one thing while I have my gap going. So I asked you a few months ago, with your new direction, did you feel that your new teachings are more aligned or are aligned with what Robert was teaching? And you looked up for a few seconds and you go, yeah. So what you're expressing now is basically the same, but more expanded and more nuanced than what Robert was saying like 30 years ago or whatever. So basically, one's best teacher is one's inner silence. And if you want to get awakened, just really love the inner silence, get to know it, spend a lot of time with the inner silence. Am I right? Is that a fair paraphrase?
Yeah, that's fair. But you got to understand, Robert was deeper than I am. I talk too much. And it was hard to get anything to come out of him. He didn't have many opinions. So he really didn't fit anywhere because he'd just be silent wherever he went. Except when he had to come to satsang and had to figure out what to say. His wife told me Robert struggled the whole day before he went to satsang to try to figure out what to say because he knew saying things was useless. Because what you wanted to say was to tell people to shut up, just be quiet, get into yourself, and be passive. Get into yourself as often as possible, and you find out just the process of getting into yourself relaxes you, and you find less stress in your body. And when you start losing the stress, that becomes an inducement to do it even more. Now, I really can't argue any position anymore because I don't even know what a position means when it comes to anything. And it really doesn't help me to understand that kind of thing. It's just easier to talk about what I feel and what I see and all that sort of thing. Get into first person and stay there. Then people can start calling you an asshole or things like that because you don't seem to be grooving into their reality anymore. So you must be insane. Robert, when we were together alone, was very quiet. It was I that had to keep the dialogue going. Otherwise, nobody'd say anything. But at that time, I was so wrapped up into him, I wanted more out of him. More Robert out of Robert every moment, just to see if there's an ultimate Robert there somewhere. A base Robert. There was, as a matter of fact. And I got to understand that over time because he didn't like the questions that most people asked him. There were questions like, are Robert's teachings the same as his teacher? Are my teachings the same as Robert's teachings? The thing is, the more freedom you get, the less you're like anybody else except yourself. And you get really stuck on just being yourself because it's the only thing you know for certain. And it takes you a long time to get there because you have to let go of thinking to know yourself. You just sit, maybe for an hour each day, or now a half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, and just start to get used to it by watching your mind and your body at the same time. And watch how the mind is always there talking to you. You're its audience. It's not you, but you think it's you. You think it's got the most sage advice. But you're the stupidest farts whenever you talk to yourself. Keep your opinions to yourself. Just be stupid and practice being stupid and non-reactive. Really. Be stupid. Know nothing. And until you know what I mean, it's hard to do because you're thinking, well, how should I be stupid? How should I demonstrate I'm stupid? By just being silent? By asking too many questions? The person who is the stupidest in the room is most rooted in themselves. They don't have anything to say because nobody's asking them a question about themselves. They're busy in their own minds. But somebody that's really stupid and really enlightened, the brain doesn't get ticked over. They stay in themselves, just resting in themselves. They don't even have to close their eyes anymore, but probably they do. And they just stay in themselves. And it's so wonderful just to be in yourself, to feel yourself in your body, to watch the mind and see how fragile and unpowerful the mind is, even though to you it might feel extraordinarily powerful because it keeps intruding into your life. But a trained mind gets out of the way. It knows where it belongs, and it doesn't come out and try to teach you anything. It knows that teaching you anything is only accumulation of memories and some concepts maybe. But what you have to do is get used to directly perceiving your own truth, your own self, and your experience in the moment. And don't look to anybody else to explain what your own experience is. They can't tell you. They've got their own experience. And they can talk to you about their own experience, but if they try to make up ideas about what you are experiencing, that gets confusing. Now, rest in nothingness. Let go of everything. Sit still. Lie against your couch or something like that. But don't have the body move around much. Just close your eyes and tune into you. Tune into your heart. Tune into your gut. Tune into your legs, your butt. Notice whether there's any energies moving around inside your body or whether you can't feel them right now. I noticed that after a long time of just getting into feeling my body, I didn't feel it so much anymore because not much was going on in it. I just felt rested. I felt calm. I felt complete and strong in a sense because I didn't waver because of my mind. That's the only thing that should make your attention waver, Spencer, your cat. Just be quiet. Don't try to understand anything. Don't come here with the intent of understanding what spirituality is about. It's about you. It's about resting in you. And when you rest in you, you're really, really rested. And from that rest in you, you can hear what other people are saying, and you can answer them very easily. As long as they don't ask you conceptual ones like, how is Robert different from you? Or how are you different from Pinocchio? Anything that asks an intellectual question about understanding is to be thrown out on its ear. That kind of thinking will not help you at all. The only thing that it helps is to spend a lot of time resting in your body and not having your mind talking. Just leave the space for your body to talk to you. And the real you, who is prior to your mind, talk to you and understand you. Because you'll notice after a while that the mind is this there, and it's not you. It has nothing to do with you. Your mind is not you. Although you may pay more attention to it than anything else in your life, but it's not you. The things it tells you are not you. They're ideas or demands or requests for information. And all of those leave you, the more empty you get. We could get into comparisons, and you can tell me how empty you are, and I'll do you by saying how empty I am in a different category. We could do that. It's like Dharma combat. Really. There is nothing about the mind at all here except to understand the mind is your enemy. It's your distractor. It's your one that keeps you locked into concepts and understanding rather than the freedom of having no mind. I don't mean literally having no mind, but the mind is seen for what it is. It's a kind of calculator with memories. So that's what it's good for. For finding your divine nature, it's absolutely horrible. Your own nature is found in silence. When you just sit with yourself and you turn your mind off and you feel the totality of you. That may include the mind, but It's just a small part of you. Your mind is just a small, small part of you. And the more you can watch the mind, the more you can put it in its proper place. Being nothing. Know nothing. This is a hard sell because everything inside of you says, "No, there's got to be more than I am." But you're it. It's just that your mind works so much, you're looking for something more and something else. You can't accept the simplicity of yourself. You'll say, "This doesn't seem like me. I'm more complex than that." Yeah, you are, because of your mind. Get rid of your mind and you won't need that anymore. Hear that, Jay? Get rid of your mind. What about you, Mark? What are you going to get rid of?
I'm going to get rid of saying things that don't need to be said.
Good.
I have to work on that a little bit.
Never shout fire in a crowded area. Or there's a shooter over there. That's frowned upon. Unless there is one there. Become an observer. Become an observer in people, in conversations. Become an observer of yourself in conversations. The more you practice self-inquiry or paying attention to yourself, the more clearly you can draw the line between your body and you, your body and your mind. You all become clearer, more and more clear. It becomes clear that the world you've lived in is an illusion because it's a world of the mind. All the familiar concepts, they're all there, populating your world with intense understanding of concepts. But if every step you took, you threw away 2 concepts, that'd be a good day. No concepts, no understanding. Just feeling. Regain feelings of your body. Regain the ability to love. Regain the ability to feel anger. And don't homogenize it by making it all conceptual. The thing is, the deeper you go into yourself, the less there is to pay attention to, because it's so very unimportant. But you have to dwell in that unimportance every day to lose your mind. Grow accustomed to not depending on the mind. To grow accustomed to looking directly rather than through the filters of concepts. You know, there's one way you can sort of measure the depth of a teacher. And that's by how many concepts they use. But if a teacher, every time you open your mouth, said, "Shut the fuck up," you have to understand why he's saying that. Because you have to get away from depending on your own mind to rule your actions in your life. The mind is a quite limited thing. But what you are is not limited in any way. It's so vast. It's so empty space, filled with peace. There are no longer any intellectual questions that bother you. You can't give a fuck what Ramana said, because he was just another asshole. Instead, pay attention to the prime asshole, which is you. And get your understanding from the prime asshole, not the secondary assholes that we seek after. I wonder why Vesseline and Michael always run away and don't have any picture up. Let's figure out what they're doing that they don't want us to see. Why are they so shy? Michael, are you asleep too? Maxie? You don't want to see?
I'm seeing in the dark.
Oh, okay. What time is it there in Austria?
10 p.m.
Okay. All right. Now, after all that talk about shutting the fuck up, don't have any mind, does anybody have a question? Does anybody dare have a question? Ask a question. Go ahead.
I do. So I'm observing that many people in my past with whom I've had a spiritual association, and social media allows me to do this, but they all seem to be coming home. They all seem to be making great statements, very profound spiritual statements, which I can't believe it's coming from them. But it's not one. It's like 6 or 8 of them. They're either doing beautiful, spiritual poetry, or they're sitting in the moment and talking about it. And I'm just wondering, I don't really care about it, but it's surprising to me, given my previous judgments of those people. And I'm just wondering if, as I change, my world changes. And, we talk about this a lot, but, there's still, as you said, shooters out there, and there's still nasty things out there, but it sort of feels like as my mind changes, their mind changes. And I don't want to confabulate or anything here, but I just like your comment on that.
You want to comment on that?
Does the external world, which we know is our mind,
Does what?
change? Does the external world, which we learn is only a manifestation of our mind, alter as I become?
Yes. What increases is the reality of who you think you are. Because you can feel who you are. You can feel your body. You can feel your mind. You can feel your ability to perceive everything and everywhere. And you become solid. And as such, not flappable. And utterly relaxed. Utterly relaxed. You keep relaxing until nothing touches you. Looks like Chris is doing that really well. Maybe Bernadette catches it too. They do well. They ask good questions. Usually they just tell me what's happening with them. They don't ask intellectual questions. Frank, you look wide awake for a change. What's going on in you, in your mind?
There's not a lot at the moment. Glad to be here. I wasn't sure I could make it. I was just about to sit down with you when suddenly my nose started gushing blood and took some of my attention for a while.
You should have let us see.
Well, I was thinking about it, but, I decided I didn't want to dwell on the question too long. I will say something that keeps going through me is the interface between living in surrender while still clearly having an identity with this embodied character who is in a dream, if you will. And this character has desires. There's things that it believes it needs or wants. And so the interface between living in surrender and honoring a desire when it has an energy that keeps grabbing. So I'm just staying open to that and seeing where it leads.
Yes. Yes. And it may just disappear and it may take off. You follow the deeper stuff in you, not the mind.
Yeah. Well, that's actually where I'm not sure what the word is, the transition is, because I recognize the desire at the level of mind, and I feel the desire at the level that is not mind. And it seems there's simply a witnessing of the movement back and forth between the two, and a trust that if life wants something of me or through me, it will make itself known. It's the best I know how to do at the moment.
That's a good attitude to take. Robert used to tell people, don't get so caught up in your everyday affairs. He said he ignores mail, ignores a lot of information sources. And he said, if it's really important, they'll come get you.
Yeah, that's kind of how I hold it.
So I wait for things to come and get me. So I know I'm placed on the spotlight and I have to react one way or the other.
That's good.
We've noticed that, Ed.
What have you noticed?
Having to come and get you.
You know, I'm 81 now. My mind doesn't work as well as it used to, mainly because I don't pay any attention to it anymore and it's getting rusty. But life is so much happier now that my mind isn't cluttered with things of the mind. I can just relax, have the words go through me, have nothing happen, feel bored, feel lonely. All different kinds of feelings I can go through. Mostly they're not that much anymore. And I just hang out with myself. Just do nothing. I can practice doing nothing too, like prior to satsang. I was amazed that when Nicole told me about Robert, that he spent the whole day preparing for satsang and what he's going to say. And the thing with me is that's the hardest thing for me to do, is to think of something to say. Because after a while, you've covered all the bases 4 or 5 times, and you've used different ways of expressing it, but you know that none of that touches anything deep. So you don't want to lead the other person on, and you don't want to betray your own purity by taking up an artificial personality to answer a question. And it grows increasingly comfortable to do nothing. There's not a lot of things behind me anymore that says this should be done, this should be done, this should be done. I'm 81 fucking years old. Why do I need to have something to do? I've worked my life to get away from things to do so I could retire and not have anything. And it's so wonderful to do goddamn nothing. The only thing I do is pay attention to my cats. And some of you out there who may try to get in contact with me, but find that increasingly impossible. I do have a email address, edwardmusica@gmail.com. That's always open. Or satsang.online@gmail.com. So feel free to email me. I don't get many phone calls, and I don't even get people that ask me what my phone number is. They don't want to hear me talk because they know I'm full of shit. And I'll just confuse them and mislead them. So they'd rather me tell them I'm not going to talk to you about anything because I don't want to get you worried about something. I want you to relax. Like Cassie seems to be doing so well. She seems to be asleep and awake at the same time, which is an ideal state. On the other hand, her boyfriend there has got a very inquisitive mind. It's hard to shut that mind up, isn't it? Frank, how do you take these teachings that I'm teaching now?
What do you mean, how do I take them?
What's the feeling in you, in your gut? You say, oh, what an asshole, or you just listen intently?
Oh, I go back and forth. Now, an interesting question. I'm not sure quite how to answer it. It seems as if I just kind of show up. A lot of what you say is pretty irrelevant to me, it seems.
It's irrelevant to me too.
Yeah, well, okay, we're in the same non-place together then. There is simply a sense of feeling seen, feeling opened, or feeling seen in the openness that's here. And it's a felt sense. I hear the mind could come up with a bunch of things to say, but I think that's as close as I can come at the moment.
Yes. It's quite a trip to go from being immersed in the mind and mastery by mind into letting the mind slip away altogether and pay it little heed, except to relax it and not let it get too disturbed. And I'm not nearly so curious about anything anymore because I'm 81. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck about my own mind, let alone somebody else's mind telling me what's true or not true or asking questions. Wonderful. The cat's tail dominates satsang. Eric, what am I seeing in that picture? Looks like a cat. Oh, okay. That's nice. Mark, say something intelligent.
Did you hear the one about the mathematician who was afraid of negative numbers?
No, I haven't.
Yeah. He would do it. He would stop at nothing to avoid them.
That's good. That's good.
Not bad.
But it does feel good to stop and just relax. In the middle of a sentence, let go of the sentence. And just relax. Feel your body. Watch the mind. It has a different feeling altogether from your body. One is physical, existential, and the other is sort of loopy. And you get used to feeling your old world in a new way. You're not the same as you used to be. You're not curious that much anymore. Curiosity is for intellectuals, or somebody who wants to win game shows. I have nothing to do. I have nowhere I want to go. There's no thought that I think is more important than another thought. I think they're all useless. I don't think there's any teachings outside of be aware of yourself at all times. Be aware of yourself. Be aware of your body. Be aware of your head, your mouth, and whether anything is coming into your mind at all. With awareness, the actions come to an end. And then you're just happy being in your own body, aware of your body, aware of your mind, aware of your world, and what's happening in it. Now that's a happy cat, Eric. Does he ever wake up? Jay, are you ever going to get another cat?
I don't know. We may do it after a little later in the summer. We have taking a trip in July, and you keep telling me, I'll be 81 in July, and you keep telling me that I got to get a senior cat. Otherwise, I have to figure out somebody to do something with it after nobody knows what to do with me anymore, or I can't find my way around. Thank you. I love you all. Gypsy was the love of my life. I still feel her presence here, and but I think, as we've said, cats aren't entirely in this world or wherever they're from. I think they're on a fast track. I think they just keep coming back as cats. So why wouldn't they? I mean, I'm a pretty good can opener. I know the drill. I got this shit down. I was wondering, Edgy, don't you ever wish that maybe just once you were out on the freeway and someone cut you off so that you could experience road rage for the first time and maybe take out your piece and just let them have it?
Let me tell you, I've thought about that thousands of times in my lifetime. Thousands of times.
Maybe this isn't a spirituality question. Maybe it has my feet deep in the mundane shit that surrounds almost all of the world all of the time. And yet, I don't know, the pure beatitude of your love for us takes me to a place that is indescribable. And that's how I feel. I keep rereading Siddhar Rameshwar, whose words about the Guru were just exquisite. And you are my beloved. So I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. You're a very gentle person. Worn out. I'm waiting for Mark to wear out. He's still got a finger in the game.
No, I still have a few more laps. I don't feel worn out yet. Quite yet.
Vesselina, do you have a question? You've gone away. Say something.
I feel better now. I've relaxed and feel good.
Good. Very good. Okay. It's 25 after 1. So this is our longest satsang ever, I think. Now we have to post this one because it's obviously the best since it was the longest. And continually throughout the whole thing, I've been advising you that I don't know shit. And what's the use of coming here and learning shit? I try to just teach you that you don't learn shit anywhere.
You can call this I don't know shit, because I know you have a very short attention span remembering what to label these. So I don't know shit would be perfect. Or I don't know shit 101, and then we can each make it 102, 103.
How about shit master?
Well, you are. I mean, if you understand, I say that reverentially.
I'm the shit master.
Right.
And you're shit students.
Okay. I'm down with that's good. That works for me.
Well, look, I love you all. Keep coming. We'll keep each other entertained, make each other laugh, and Absolutely. Then know at the end of satsang we've learned not one thing. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you. I love you.
Love you too. Love you all.
Thanks, Ed.
How do I stop? Oh, end. End. Okay. Leave meeting. Assign it. I have to assign it. So I'll assign it to somebody who doesn't want it. Cassie. Okay, Cassie, you're in charge now. Do your thing.